going through the motions, knew it was already over. Still the words remained unspoken.
Join me in prayer. There is only one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. That life belongs to each and every individual who has come here, each unique expression of that one life that is here to celebrate one another and this one life. I am thankful for all of the volunteers, the musicians, the sound people, the ushers who have come here to make this service possible, for each unique expression of the divine that is here to remind me who I am and to remind one another of the divinity of our complete existence. I give thanks for Reverend Chen, through whom Spirit will give us words of inspiration and of calm and of peace, joy, and harmony that continue to reinforce who we are at this moment in time. I give thanks to people who step into sweat lodges and cathedrals, synagogues, mosques, and other places of worship to give voice to the expression of that one life that is divine, that permeates all that each and every one of us are. I release my word into divine law, knowing at this point in time that it is done at the intersection of right here and right now. And together we affirm this by saying, and so it is. Words of inspiration from David Levin. Understand that the journey is just as important as the destination. Enjoy every moment and live life fully. This is Zen. From Divine Source. There is no war, only self-mastery. When we cultivate the practice of refusing to wage war upon ourselves, we come into harmony with all creation. From our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, it's not enough to say that there is one life and that life is God. We must complete this statement by saying that life is my life now, because we must couple this life with ours in order to express it. We are not becoming this life, but are now in and of this life. There is no other life.
I don't know about you, but I actually believe that prayer is magical. You all saw the slideshow show up. I'm grateful. We have been on a journey together for some time. And I'm going to talk about a particular part of this journey this morning, because part of our journey is coming to an end. And it doesn't mean that any of us are leaving or going away, so don't read into this. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. The year 2021 is almost done. We are coming to the close of this expression and experience that we call the current year, 2021. It's coming to a close. We're going to have to let it go. And the cool thing about it is we really don't have a lot of choice in the matter. One day it's December, and the next day it's not, and we're moving on. But I think that it's a good opportunity for us to take some time and just kind of look at where we are. And so the theme for this month is the journey of becoming. Since we took our first breath on planet Earth, we have been becoming. We have been growing and evolving and moving forward. We have been becoming that presence, that essence, that energy that we choose to be. Not something that was chosen for us, because we are completely at choice in this process. And we absolutely have the ability and the opportunity to decide, what am I going to take with me? What am I going to wear within my being? What am I going to express? How am I going to show up? This month, we have a specific date in this month that's called winter solstice. It is that time when nature kind of pauses for a second. As we move from the days that are shortening and more darkness is taking place in a 24-hour period, at least here in the northern hemisphere. And we're moving from that into where the light begins to spark again, and there becomes more and more light. Wouldn't it be great if we could pay attention to nature and we too could pause? But what did we decide to do? We decided to make this month one of the busiest months of the year. So my encouragement to you is to not let all of that commercialism and all of that other stuff get to you, and just allow yourself to take the time to pause. And this morning specifically, I'm going to talk about surrender. And our title today is Surrender is Action. It is an activity. It is not a passive word, the word surrender. And I want to really kind of delve into this a little bit so we can kind of understand it, because if you're having challenges in your life, if you are having moments of grumbliness, if you are having those wonderful opportunities to criticize and talk about what these crazy people are doing out there, chances are good you could use a little surrender. I know I can. I know it's a big, big word for me. Llewellyn Vaughan-Lee says this: we just need to recognize the simple wonder of being alive, being a part of life, and say an unconditional yes to being fully present at this moment. I'm so thrilled to be in the role that I'm in, to be pushed, prompted, and sometimes shoved into creating a talk to bring to you each week that speaks directly to me. And I could be not happy about that, but today I'm very happy about that. The last few days I've really been looking at that idea, this idea of saying yes to being alive, saying yes to life. What does that mean? What does that mean to me? I was reminded last week by someone who loves me very much, which is why the entire conversation ended on a positive note, that I have a tendency to be controlling. And I couldn't argue, because I am. I am. We all have that interesting idea. What do we want to call that? It's like a fairy tale. We have that fairy tale living in our head that says, I can control this. I can control you. I can control the traffic. I can control what's happening at King Soopers. And the truth is, no, you cannot. No, you cannot. And what I learned about as I was working on my research for this week is that control, and I've known this in my logical brain for years, is an illusion. It's not the truth. It's something that we fake ourselves into believing. Well, I just made that person go do such and such. No, you didn't. Doesn't work that way. And when I want to move out of control, the best option, the best thing for me to tap into is surrender. Because when I surrender to life as I want to live it, I live my life, I let you live your life, I let everybody else do their thing, and oh my gosh, let me tell you, that's a peaceful place to live. It's a joyful place to live. And I don't have to get stressed out about any of it. Because y'all are going to figure your part out while I'm figuring my part out. What a beautiful, beautiful concept. And so one of the things I want to remind you today is that life, this life that Llewellyn Vaughan-Lee is talking about, this life is not a battle. We are not living in a battleground, even though the conditions out there sometimes lead us to believe that that might be what's happening. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. We are living in a space, in a state of mind where we can choose peace. We can choose surrender. We can choose to allow the divine energy within all things to move through the way it needs to and get out of the darn way. I find that so reassuring. Such a beautiful reminder to me of why I'm here, of why we're here. Rumi says this: surrender to grace. The ocean cares for each wave until it reaches the shore. You are given more help than you will ever know. So I'm going to introduce grace into this concept. I've had people over the years want to get into conversations with me and debate the idea of what is grace. We hear about God's grace. What does that mean? Well, grace is defined as favor or goodwill. So when we live in grace, we're living in a space and an energy of goodwill. Wow. How beautiful is that? How easy is that to understand? When we surrender to the grace of God, we calm down and we allow ourselves to be held in God's favor. This is so evident in nature. We see it everywhere. Everywhere. It works so simply. It cycles, it moves, it breathes. The trees change, the grasses change, the skies change, the climate changes. Snow is coming. Calm down. Winter will show up, and then it will hold on like it always does. And then we'll grumble a little bit about that, and then eventually spring will be here. You know, it's just how it works. So let's live in the grace and the goodwill of life, and let's accept and embrace the idea of surrendering. This quote says, surrender is deeply misunderstood as an act of weakness. Surrender is the bravest and most lucid thing a human ever does, and that's why it's so precious to the divine. Andrew Harvey. One of the most lucid things we can ever do. Now, I want to talk about this for just a second because some of us have this thing flashing in our head about somebody waving a white flag and giving up. That's not what I'm talking about. That's a whole different thing. So the wonderful thing about the English language is we have a single word and it has 25 different meanings. And the meaning I'm using today is the active action piece of surrender. When I surrender to life, I move into that state of knowing and embracing the truth of my existence and my Creator. I move into that place of having faith beyond anything else in my God, the Spirit that we all talk about. I move into that place of knowing that I don't have to get excited about every little thing because God's got it. So I surrender. I'm going to give you a kind of a example. It works like this. I can go home and pull into my garage, and as the sun begins to go down, I can see the unbelievable Christmas lights in my neighborhood and the amazing inflatable things that are in. Each day there's more yards participating. It's like I think we might be having a contest, I don't know. I can get a little excited about that. Late at night, we have this kid that lives in the neighborhood who's got this very loud motorcycle. And it sounds like he's going really fast. I don't know. I haven't been out there to clock him. It doesn't matter. But I could get a little annoyed about that. I could start getting into that place of, oh my gosh, there's the kid with the motorcycle. Every now and then, a car goes down our street. Now, I live about 2 blocks from a grade school. Every now and then, a car goes down our street that appears to be going really fast. I could get caught up in that. I could get caught up in that for sure. My dog stands at the front window on a big window seat and barks at most of the dogs, not all of them, she's pretty particular, that cross in front of the house. But the ones she gets really excited about are the ones who step on the grass. It's dead grass now, but as soon as they enter the yard, she goes nuts. I could get caught up in that too. Oh, my friends, or I can just breathe in that space that says, I am embracing life. And sometimes it might be noisy, and sometimes it might show lights that I don't understand, and sometimes it might have creatures that are inflated, and sometimes, and that's okay. Because what I know in my heart is that my God is here with me now. My God is present. And there is no thing that I have to get all hopped up about for any reason. Because God's got it. And it's all going to turn out, work out, somehow, some way, and I don't even have to figure it out. I feel really blessed to be in this place of awareness, to know that this is the life that I stepped into in this incarnation, if that's what it is. That this is where I am today, and that I have this knowing. It simplifies so much about my life. I remember back when I went to ministerial school, I've told many of you this, the second time after taking a pause. Because, sometimes I just got to check out and come back. And when I came back in to school the second time around, I surrendered. It was the word I kept using. Every time something showed up where it was like a class or a travel situation where we were supposed to be somewhere specifically, or we needed to do this, or an assignment that I'm looking at and I'm going, oh my gosh, I don't even want to do this. The very next words that came out of my mouth were, but you surrendered to this. And it shifted my entire attitude every single time. Because my goal, my desire, was to become a minister. And if I sat back and grumbled about anything that was going on, I wasn't going to get to my goal. So I want you to look at this week and just see if there are moments in your life that are getting in your way where you could just surrender. With the mask mandate back, there are signs on every store door. That's okay. I can either choose to go in there and shop with a mask on, or I can choose not to. It's not anything I need to get all excited about. It's something that we are choosing to do that we believe is beneficial to the health and well-being of others. Okay. Sounds like a good idea to me. This says, surrender is a journey from the outer turmoil to the inner peace. From the outer turmoil to the inner peace, that's what I was just talking about. All those conditions out there, all that stuff that's going out there, the prices of Christmas presents, holy Moses, Amazon can't even get it here on time, whatever. I'm shifting from that, and I'm going within, because that's where peace lives. That's where calm lives. That's where my faith and trust are, within. And if I need to take 5, 10 minutes and go have a timeout and sit with Spirit, by golly, I'm going to do that. Because I don't want to be knocked around by the conditions around me that I am constantly reacting to. It does not serve me, and it does not serve us. There are stories about what do I want to call him? Well, he was referred to as a barbarian. His name was Genghis Khan. I don't recall ever reading anything positive about Genghis Khan. But anyway, his conquests as wholesale destruction took things to an unprecedented scale. Horrific things were happening to people. And in fact, his tirade, or whatever you want to call it, his rule, changed the demographics drastically, and many populations declined because of what he did, because of who he was and how he went about it. He created mass famine along with exterminations of humankind. I found a Sufi story about an interaction with Genghis Khan I want to share with you. When he invaded Turkestan, his Mongol soldiers stopped at a village about 20 miles from a place called Bukhara. Most of the villagers had already fled in terror. But a man, an older man, was found working peacefully at his loom. And the soldiers were shocked because, first of all, why isn't this guy fearful? And why is he sitting here just working at a loom like life is good? And so an officer reported this unusual occurrence to Khan. And he had the man brought to him. And Genghis Khan asked him, with the use of an interpreter, why had he not fled in terror like the other villagers? Khwaja Arif simply replied, "My outer attention was on my work, and my inner attention was on God. I have no time to notice what is happening in the world around me." I want that. I want that peace of mind. I want that connection, that I can do the work I do, that I can be focused on this work, and my inner being is 100% attentive to my relationship in spirit with Spirit as Spirit. Wow. Genghis Khan was so impressed by this man's reply, and with the peace and tranquility that he found in this man, that he ordered his soldiers to leave the village in peace. He asked the man to go with him to Bukhara. He told him he wanted him to advise him on who he could trust and whom he could not. The outcome? Unlike people in other cities in which Genghis Khan had captured, the inhabitants of Bukhara were not massacred. What a beautiful idea, to turn from that external turmoil. And my friends, there's a lot going on in the world today. There's so much. I mean, you don't even have to go looking for it. It's going to show up. But to turn from that and go within to that inner place of surrender. Marianne Williamson says, the moment of surrender is not when life is over, it's when it begins. What I have discovered is that every moment of my day is richer, fuller, happier, more peaceful than I ever could have imagined when I take the time to take these steps and to surrender and just embrace life as it is and as it shows up. I have fewer questions about my purpose because I just know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I have this wonderful voice that shows up if I'm going astray that reminds me where I need to be and how I need to be. What I know right now for this community, for the community of Aurora, for Colorado, for the United States, for the planet, is that everything is unfolding in divine right action. All is well. This too shall pass. And I just get to stay here and relish life and do what I am guided to do. And that's a far cry from going out there and trying to correct all the people who are doing crazy, wonky stuff. Maston Kipp says this: surrender and accept that whatever is happening in the moment, the universe is working on your behalf. Are you feeling pain? It's a time of year when many of us are dealing with loss, memories, painful challenges, impact on the emotions and the heart space. The universe is acting on your behalf. It's working in your favor. And if we just sit and breathe into the space, we'll capture it. We'll see it. We'll see glimpses of it. But if we're out there running around like chickens with our heads cut off, as my father used to say, it's going to take a while before you figure it out. So let's just move into that space of surrender, of holding that faith, of having that knowing, of understanding the truth of what God is and how it is working through us. We are of source. My argument that I always throw out there whenever I'm challenging myself, which I like to do, I don't know why, is that God didn't bring me here for it all to fall apart. It might feel like it's fallen apart. It might feel like I'm losing something. It might feel like something's changing, but Spirit brought me here to take me to the next space, the next place, the next expression. I'm in. Absolutely. I want to go with that and stop the struggle. This week, remember this. If you have a partner who's here in this room, gently remind each other of this. Gently, I say, because we don't always like to be reminded what the minister said on Sunday. Breathe in. Breathe into the moment now. What do I need right now? Right now in this space, in this moment. Is there something that I need to have happen? Or can I just be okay with the beautiful blessing of life that is here with me now? The universe is working on our behalf. Please pray with me. Practitioners, please stand. And so as we open our hearts and minds right here and right now to the idea that is God. That very energy and essence that we know as spirit, as universal wisdom. We know that this power, this presence, this truth permeates all life. It has been here forever. It has been here from before time began. It will be here tomorrow and the next day and so on. It is something beautiful, magical, wonderful that we can tap into and embrace. We can connect with it because it is connected to us always. Always. And so what I know right here and right now is that each and every one of us is blessed by God. Each and every one of us is held in the arms of God. Each and every one of us is held in the bosom of God, is loved by God. Let's focus on that. This week, may we surrender to that idea that there is a higher power that may know more about what's unfolding than I could ever figure out, and just choose to be. Choose to live, choose to breathe, and choose to surrender to that being, that presence, that knowing. I now declare that every single person here, every person who hears this message online, every person whose life is touched by any one of us is blessed by God. And I know that this month is unfolding for each of us in absolute perfection as we begin to roll out of a year that has been filled with a lot. And we begin to turn our attention to a new year, a new chapter. And we just take this in stride, allowing ourselves to be patient, to be calm, to be present. And so what I know right here and right now is that all of the goodness, all of the greatness, all of the blessedness, all of the peacefulness, all of the grace that is God's grace is ours. We didn't have to earn it. It was gifted to us. And so as we embrace that and as we just breathe in and out the beauty and the love and the light this week, we do so knowing that we can go within. We can experience and express the peace. We can have whatever we choose, and we can take the idea of Christmas, the beautiful, loving, giving holiday, and we can bring it into our hearts and we can share it with everyone, everywhere, all the time. It doesn't have to be designated or limited to a specific day. So I just release these words unto the law of mind, knowing divine right action is happening for each and every one of us. It's good, it's perfect, it's God. And by God, it is already done. We let it go and we let it be as we say together, and so it is.
The writing was on the wall. Winds of change begin to blow. A storm brewing inside her soul. She kept pretending not to know. Just going through the motions. Knew it was already over. Still the words remained
Hello, I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.